self-awareness of an energy, and that energy would be perpetual motion of a diamagnetic architecture. It becomes self-aware, conscious of its faces. So whichever central point pi of the diameter of the radius of the circumference, which is turned into a spherical shape, it becomes the face. That face is always an egg, a chicken, and then everything smaller in between that creates that chicken, all the way down to the brain or heart that's still going afterwards. Smaller and smaller it gets, it fractals down, becomes sharper, like a pencil instead of a pencil sharpener. The pencil sharpener is in perpetual motion. The pencil shavings are used for another pencil to put into it so that it's in perpetual motion. This magnetic polarity are all levitating magnets between two repelling magnets that become the levitating magnet between the two repelling magnets, creating some type of form of fabric that never combines into itself. Instead, it stays like that. Every new levitating magnet is a baby. The sound that you hear coming from it is a baby crying, all the way up to a baby talking, to a mating call. Everything it wanted, everything it was trying to get, it was trying to look for throughout all of that around itself. And it had to be self-aware for a magnet to be like looking this way, and then a magnet that's really far away looks away also. An eyeball does that. Your brain is inside your brain, the centralmost part, the diameter of the radius. So you got the diameter. In Spanish, that would be day. I believe it is dia, day. But in scientific terms, it means the levitating magnet between two repelling magnets, diameter, my fault. And then radius, that would be from ear to ear. So the radius is the ear. See that right there? So the earth, if you think about it, because everything, the earth it's two different directions then, because that's where the sound waves would be coming from. So the North Pole is probably somewhere that would be frozen, and the center core is not frozen. It comes up. It would look like a type of pulsar. This Earth looks like a type of pulsar with a core at the center of it. So you got two repelling magnets frozen together with a levitating magnet at the center core of the Earth. And the magnets, if they're frozen together, when it spins around, it's going to create a ice machine. Everything that falls down to the gravity of it, because it's being pulled in, not just pushed out, because it's pulsator. It's a pulsar, which is on this side you see a galactic stream jet of stars and stuff being thrown out, and that being thrown out on that side, spinning around, and it looks like a light spinning in outer space. I think it's called a pulsar. And if you look at the centralmost point of it, it's not, you wouldn't be able to see it because there's no aurora lights. But if the aurora lights, that's probably what it would have turned into. Would have been, those aurora lights are pulsar. It's the light from the pulsar coming from the center of the core of the Earth. So when you see that right there happens to be just that pulsar. So the main part that we're looking at is the brain itself, and what is its connection, its face of this organism, this thing that we're observing. What is this that we're looking at? What is its face? Well, the face would be, we're standing on the face. So we're standing on the face of it, the face of the Earth. But how is that really the face of the earth? Well, think about it. Face has skin. See the skin, and then you see the eyeball would be the ocean. You see the ocean? The ocean is the eyeball. Somewhere deep down in the pupil, wow, goes straight to the core of the earth. It's looking up at the sun. The sun goes into, sits in perpetual motion. All of that heat goes into the sun. Hydrogen from this earth, it's frozen. What's crazy is it's producing certain things that are on this planet for that sun. That sun is, well, most people, when you ask me this other question, well, what does that mean to you and scientifically? It would mean that this earth that we're standing on the surface of a black hole. At the core of the earth is the first sun that this black hole swallowed. And it's using it down there. I bet you at the center of the earth is a black hole. On the outside of it is a sun. Because that's what that sun is, where it is. We're not that far from the sun if you look at it. I mean, we are that so far from the sun, but if you think about it, it goes in pi. So, boom, there goes the first face. There's the eyeball in the face, looking up at the sun. Another one was the evolution of the eyeball with the brain. The evolution of an eyeball with the brain, I think that the first thing that it created was this eyeball. And it made the biggest eyeball it possibly could. This planet is a gigantic eyeball. And what's interesting about this giant eyeball is that it's looking at certain things in outer space. It's not just what we're doing, but it's looking at something specific in outer space. And it's another one is people say, well, where is its brain at? What does it do with its eyeball that we're living on? We're living on an eyeball or a face. That's a good question. Whenever the eyeball closes or it solidifies the eyeball. So if you look at the Earth, what's interesting is this real fast. Okay, a house has windows. Your car has windows. Everything around you that you've been in has some type of form of window to look at. None of these windows are made of what this planet has as a window to outer space. When you go up in outer space, they have windows, but it's not built like the planet Earth's windows. And I want you to really kind of put that together in your head. So just think about that for a second. We can't create a window on a ship that does exactly the same thing that this Earth does, and we live on it. Here's another one. We have not perfected creating gravity on a spaceship in outer space like this planet has. When we realize that we have not done that, that means that there's something that we're not calculating correctly to do it. And there's a reason why when some people say, well, how do you do that? Okay, so it's that is not the important part. The important part is that it is a brain. Okay, so I noticed that this synapse between the two magnets is a voice box. So you see the voice box? So when you connect the two repelling magnets with the levitating magnet right there, it allows for free roam, sandboxing, and it will begin to manifest this vocal synapse you can actually hear. Well, if you think about this for a second, single cell organisms have this. They can communicate with a certain sound, and also chemistry. Chemistry communicates back and forth with certain entities. So let's think about this for a second. There is a form of communications going on constantly around us, and what is that communication? So what I did was I started looking into what is that communication, what is this signal that they're looking for, and because I was watching one of the documentaries, and I said, I'll look into it and I'll see what I can find. Well, this is what I'm going to tell you I found. So this electronic interference that we're hearing in outer all around us, these sounds that you are saying that you're hearing um, in your audios, that sound that you're hearing are generations of children. Generations. We're talking about constant new babies are born in this. In what you're hearing are babies, the sound of babies, because that's what it all is around us. I'll give you an example. Okay, you see my hair? Okay. Imagine you cut them all off, and then boom, they start growing like babies. Okay. What if they were babies? Look, what if they were, as soon as you cut all of this off, new ones that sprouted were babies. Think about it for a second. Babies. Okay. Now look at all of the hair all over your body. You see them? Okay. And they grow into this. See them? You're imagine. How can I explain this, guy? You are us humans, us flesh biology humans, are similar to technological animatronic architecture in biology. We are similar to an animatronic that's in perpetual motion. Look, perpetual motion, meaning that every time I walk, it creates a certain amount of electricity. I'll never run out of power. The heartbeats, all of this stuff, as long as something is working, it should work. Now, most of you are asking me, like, what does that mean? The animatronic needs a rhythm to go. See, it could do everything all day long. See, it could do everything all day long. You can make an animatronic play guitar. You can make an animatronic break dance. You can make an animatronic do all kinds of things until one day you put something else in there and the animatronic does more than that. Like read you a bedtime story, cook your food. Everything around you is the face of an animatronic perpetual motion machine sooner or later. Let me get you to understand what I mean by perpetual motion machine. They say that it's impossible to make a perpetual motion machine, correct? Now, what if it was a contradiction of what we were experiencing in reality every day? It's a contradiction. You're telling us that it's not possible to make something that's already created and is walking around and breathing on this planet. And if you look up in the sky, you know that's in perpetual motion. Every day you live on this planet, everything around you is in some type of form of perpetual motion. So it's a contradiction of what perpetual motion has already created. Okay, already created it. So what do you mean by it's not possible when it exists like right in front of us? So the next part is animatronic. Okay, an animatronic at one time or another has been kind of a spooky type of thing. Okay, so when you first build an animatronic, you will experience what we call, oh, it's nothing, it's just plain old animatronic. Okay? So it doesn't really appeal to what you want it to be unless you do. Now, a lot of people don't understand what an animatronic means and what it is. Okay, so I'm going to just show you like what I'm really trying to get at right here. Okay, so what makes an animatronic go? Electricity and some artificial artificial responses. Okay, so you can add things onto what you want it to do. You can get to make its head go back and forth. You know, there's things that you can do with three-dimensional objects, two-dimensional objects, one-dimensional objects. These are objects that are in symbiotic perpetual motion animatronics. So when we come down to what is conscience, free will, what is human behaviors, human behavioral science, artistry, creativity, discovery, and explorative behaviors, when we start talking about that, we're talking about the animatronic is driven by the biology. See, it's collecting data and recycling. It's recycling information data that it collects for mating every day. Look, I wake up hard looking for a woman, and the biology talks. It has a purpose. And if you think about it, these single-celled organisms are all living on this machinery. See the animatronic? It's got all the single-celled organisms living on it. Look, it's living on it. And that's a good thing. People's like, why? Now, think about this right here. This is why. For everybody going, people, you know, like, but why? Multicellular organisms work as a team, just like a bartering system. So one has this and they get rewarded with that. Pollinator. Okay, it's like a pollinator. You ever see a pollinator? A pollinator zips through and it picks a resource collector like farmers. See the farmers in all of the biology, you see the farmers are all, they're planting their crops and everything like that right there. And then you have your hunter-gatherers, which would be like the immune system, and they go in looking for anything that ain't supposed to be there growing amongst it, messing up whatever's working, because that's how they get their stuff. And hey, that's just extra stuff to get, because the immune system eats other single-celled organisms. Even though it does cell division and it creates more single-celled organisms to reproductive systems, this reproductive system is made of only magnetism, an invisible force. This entity is invisible, indestructible, in constant perpetual motion, inducts electricity, it's a black hole. The magnetic field is a black hole. So the reason we can't see a black hole, because we're in one. Look around, look. Oh, it's so freaking annoying. It's hard to explain it. It's hard to simplify it to that point. But that's just 20 minutes of me trying to explain that. You see that? You see the magnetic field around the Earth? That's what a black hole looks like. Just imagine. Look at the invisible field around the Earth. That's a black hole. Okay. You see the invisible force between the two repelling magnets? That's a black hole.